Good afternoon. Hello, everybody out there in LSL Livestream land. Welcome to the Livestream PD for Friday, October 9 in the year 2020. Today we will be featuring Eureka Math Equip with Kim Jorgensen, the math TOSA for the district. But before we do that, we have some announcements. You may have already seen these, and you may have already played around and discovered them. But in case you haven't, I think by the end of October, Google Meet features have rolled out by about now. And again, remember, Google rollouts and updates are always over a 15-day course. So if you don't have it now, there's no need for a help ticket or anything. It will eventually get there. So in a Google Meet in the upper right, you'll notice where you have your grid view and your people and your chat, you now have those geometric shapes. So under the geometric shapes, you will eventually, not even everybody in the EdTech office has all of these, have breakout rooms, polls, and Q&A. So I know some teachers are already experimenting with the breakout rules. We've seen some pretty nifty things going on there. So with the break, we're just going to do a quick overview. We will be posting full tutorials later on the LSL Remote Instruction Resource website in case you need them. But just a few of the highlights here for our breakout rooms. You can choose the number of rooms. You can shuffle kids or assign them. You can assign and move them around with drag and drop. So that's pretty fun and pretty cool. You can rename rooms, and then as a teacher, you can you can go bop around and visit the rooms. So I know some of you have been really looking forward to this feature, so it is finally here. Even if it's not to you yet, it will be soon, I promise. So then let's look at these other two things, polls and Q&A. So polls and Q&A might seem like, aren't those the same thing? Not really. So polls are basically, like you see on this question here, they are kind of like a single question Google form, kind of like questions in Google Classroom. So you can ask multiple choice question, and then you can see how many votes each got. You can show everyone the results or not show them the results. Q&A is a really interesting feature. So for starters, these all exist over on the side and in the place where the chat would be, but they don't necessarily go into the chat, right? So they all kind of live on that panel. The point of a Q&A, notice the little thumbs up here. So when you're doing a Q&A, people would write their question in, or you might ask a question of the audience, and they might respond in chat, but those little thumbs up would tell you that other people have that question. Other people, it's upvoting the question to tell you it's a little bit more important. So Q&A and polls have slightly different purposes and slightly different functionality. You can decide whether or not to allow your audience members to ask questions, or you can just put it out there and have them respond in the past. So that was, again, there will be longer tutorials for these coming up on the LSL Remote Instruction resource website. So look for those. But we're excited to be able to tell you that these are, if they're not already in your Google Meets, they're soon to come. So as a reminder, Google Meet and live office hours are available at that bit.ly link, bit.ly/LSL help, capital A, capital H, Wednesdays and Thursdays from 1 to 3. Before we get into our main PD, we would like to talk about the all-day PD we're going to be having on Monday, which is the LSL Tech Conference 2020, or ATC 2020. You see this lovely poster, digital poster that we've made for it. So there's a couple of things that I wanted to go through. Is first, this is the bit.ly link for the schedule, which has been emailed to you, I believe, twice now. But after the live stream PD, there will be yet another everything you need to know about ATC email coming for you. But while I'm talking, I'll give everybody a chance to write it down. Remember, bit.lys are case sensitive. Fortunately, this one is all lowercase, but it's bit.ly/ATC 2020. It's probably a really good idea to bookmark it where you can get at it easily, just so you can go ahead and look. But let's take, this is an image of the schedule, and we might actually jump over there for a second. So we're going to open our day with an announcement, I believe, from the superintendent and possibly from such other dignitaries and luminaries as needed. We may have a little bit of housekeeping, but then if you remember, I believe it was not the Good Teaching, ALSOL Good Teaching Conference 2019, where we had Miss Eureka Berry, but the one before was Mr. George Barcenas, and his keynote was called My Name is Jorge. So he will be coming back to deliver our keynote. It was popularly requested by lots of teachers and even the admin that were in the room to sort of hear the second part of his story and you know, get excited and encouraged about and inspired. Is a great way to start any, you know, real conference. And that's what ATC is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a real conference experience for you. Looking down on the schedule, however, you can see that most of the session titles are in blue. And as it says on the right there, session titles in blue may be recorded. That will be the decision of the presenter and the moderator at the time. But the ones in red, those presenter and moderator have already said we would prefer it's not going to be recorded. The ones that will be recorded will be later posted for ALSOL folks only on the ALSOL remote instruction website. So let's jump out and take a live look at the schedule just so we understand what we're looking at. So I sent this diagram before, but let's take a look at what one of our sessions might look like. So if we're looking at Mr. Cogswell and Ms. Gutierrez's session in session 1, it's K2 Synchro Learning, engaging kids on the other side of the screen. So to see a description, all we need to do is hover over where it says hover. You don't need to click here, all right? So I can see on that first part that this is for all levels. It will be differentiated, and then I have a description. So I can learn what is going on in that session. If I move off of that description, then I can see, oh, look, this Eureka Math one with Tere Angel and Sylvia Vasquez is beginner, and I see the description. Now, how do I get to it? I would come up here and click here to jump out to the Google Meet. I'm not actually going to go ahead and do that, but it's pretty simple, and you can see that there are roughly 14 sessions, 14 topics in each session. So here's for session 1. Session 2, you'll notice that we know that this is a lot of screen time for the day, so there's a 15-minute break between sessions, and then here's lunch, session 3, etc. On the day of, this where it says evaluation and raffle entry, this will be live linked to a Google form the way we always do that, and that will be your sort of exit ticket raffle entry, and then prizes are, as I understand them, are being donated by ATA, and we will have a sort of behind the scenes raffle because there will be only really 10 minutes left in the day, and we want to give people time. So no need for, you don't have to be present to win, and not sure how we do that anyway. So we will do the raffle afterwards, but we really do hope that you join us for the evaluation at the end of it. So if you have any questions about ATC, please refer to the email that I've already sent and the one that I will be sending today. Otherwise, you can email edtech@alsol.org to get answers. So with all that having been said rather quickly, so I don't take up too much of Ms. Jorgensen's time, we will now send it over to Ms. Jorgensen, who is going to talk to us about Eureka Math Equip, trademark, with Kim Jorgensen. So Kim, you can unmute and turn on your camera and take it away.
Okay, my window.
Just go ahead and start presenting.
Yes, not as fast as you are. Oh my goodness, that must be the window. Okay. Okay, somebody tell me if you can see it.
We can see it.
Okay, here we go. So, Eureka Math Equip is a completely new product from Great Minds and one that has been sorely lacking. If you have ever asked for a baseline or diagnostic assessment for Eureka Math, Equip is the answer. And in case I go too fast, which is probably going to happen, there will be a QA session today from 3:05 to 4:05 paid, and Gurmeet Moem, our account solutions manager from Great Minds, will be there to answer your questions since she knows this much better than I do. So, at the heart of EQUIP, there are 3 new tools designed to help teachers address students' unfinished learning of essential foundational knowledge while supporting success with grade level content. The first one is our pre-module assessments designed to assess the specific foundational knowledge students need to access the grade level content of an upcoming module. The second are assessment reports to provide data to identify whole class, small group, and individual student needs. And the third is a teacher guide to provide instructional recommendations to help teachers design targeted interventions without hindering forward progress on grade level content. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to give you a brief overview of what it is and then talk about each of those 3 things. You will want to download the EQUIP user guide. I will show you where it is because it has everything in there that you will need. And there will be many links to stuff that I'm doing today and links to help. And those will all be posted at the end and will be on the Math at Alisal website. Breathe. So Eureka Math EQUIP is built on 2 core principles. First, assessment is focused and exclusively on the foundational knowledge needed to access the lessons of each module. To avoid the trap of extensive testing and reteaching of large pieces of prior grade level content, the pre-module assessments in EQUIP do not attempt to comprehensively assess all related knowledge taught in prior grades. Second, EQUIP is designed to sprinkle in supporting content just when students need it, keeping the momentum of learning moving forward. The supporting content is designed to be used just in time, either woven into the instruction for all students or taught in parallel with the module in small groups. And on our little diagram here, that administer observational assessment as needed is after you've given the pre-module assessment, if you're going, I still want to know if this child needs more help. You can, I don't know if you can find a way to do that observational assessment, but that's how the flow chart goes. And then you analyze the data, make instructional decisions based on that, pick out your supporting content, do the extra supporting content, and then do your module instruction. So we've been having some problems with people not knowing where to find things. So this is my new graphic. You're going to make a copy of it and post it somewhere. Great Minds is a print publishing company that produces Eureka Math. That's the orange tile. It takes you to your dashboard where most of the stuff has changed. I redo another help stack for that, but there it is. You will not find a firm there. You used to, you can't now. You also now have a blue tile. That goes to InSync. They started working on that in June to provide digital versions of their lessons for distance learning. They moved a firm out of Edulastic and put it inside of InSync. Then they created EQUIP assessments and put them inside of a firm. So we have our little nested thing of where things live here. And today we're going to talk about EQUIP, buried deep in a firm. You've probably already seen the EQUIP assessments. They have that funny little round thing in front of them. And because EQUIP lives inside a firm, every time you go to a firm, they show up too. All mixed up in with the firm assessments. But for EQUIP, it's really better to go through InSync. The EQUIP assessments are pre-module assessments, so there's only one for each module. And there's also a teacher guide that you need. This is different from the user guide. You have one for each module, and it's going to be critically important for the analysis and supporting lessons. So since you're going to need to get the teacher guide for that module anyway, and they live in InSync, you might as well just get the teacher guide and get to the assessment at the same place in InSync. As you open your grade level, don't forget to switch it to your own grade level. You'll find general grade level information there. The paperclip icon indicates something that you have to download. And there's the InSync user guide, which is for the whole platform, indispensable, put it in a safe place. And then at the bottom, you see the Eureka Math Equip user guide, also indispensable, full of much more information than I can possibly put up here. Oh, and thank you to Carrie Neville, who let me use her account. As you scroll down through the first module, you'll come to where it lists all the topics. And at the top of the topic is Equip Module 1. And this is where you will find the Equip resources when you click on it. And we're going to explore those now. When you open the Equip module dropdown, you will see 3 resources. The Equip Teacher Guide for that module, along with the print and digital versions of the pre-module assessments. Next to that teacher guide, you see the little zigzaggy Equip icon. And like I said, it's specific to each module, and it's going to tell you how to analyze the assessments and how to provide the support. Great Minds recommends administering the assessments at least 1 week prior to the start of instruction for all modules except for Module 1, since you can't do that ahead of time. The print version of the assessment is available in PDF format. It is in Spanish. That's that little globe icon next to it. And it can be downloaded and printed, or screenshots taken and sent out through Seesaw if you want to do it that way. The digital version is only available in English. I can't fix that. It is scheduled the same way Affirm assessments are scheduled. So here I'm going to put in a plug for the ALISOL Remote Instruction Resources website, where you can see the Affirm PD from August, so you can refresh your mind on how to assign those Affirm assessments. I'm not going to do a big deal about that here. When you click on the title of the assessment, it'll open in a new page where you can view it. You can see that up in the top right. If you have been using Affirm, you'll notice that you are now in the Affirm library. Let's see if I can do this little scrolly thingy here. That little orange thing tells you that you are in the Affirm library. Whoops. We saw it in the beginning. Equip lives inside Affirm, so when it opens for us, you have magically moved from InSync into the Affirm part library, so you can view it or schedule it. And you already downloaded the teacher guide when you were there, so you don't have to go back to InSync anymore, right? So these assessments behave very much like the Affirm assessments in the way they're scheduled, the way the students take them, the way they're scored, and the way they're reported. Thanks to our helpful snowman over here, you have the same options for Equip that you have for the Affirm assessments. And just in case you forgot, this is how you schedule it. Pick your date, your time, and whichever students you want to take it, and press schedule. It will then appear on your home page for Affirm. And just like any of the Affirm assessments, when the Equip assessment goes live, you can watch your students take it. To do that, you click that little button down here. Let's get this little thingy. There we go. Down here, when you click on that, you will then see your students taking the test. So let's look at the actual Equip assessment and see how it differs from the Affirm assessment. First, The pre-module assessment is not intended to replace the mid-module or end-of-module assessment for a given module, as it does not assess grade-level content. Instead, it is designed to identify gaps in essential foundational knowledge, after this referred to as EFK, that could interfere with a student's success in the module. Each item on the pre-module assessment is directly tied to one piece of EFK for the module. The digital format of the pre-module assessment offers an adaptive feature called branching. For some EFKs, when a student answers this one, the core question incorrectly, the equip will give them a branch question to see how back the student is having trouble. The nature of these branched questions will mean that your students will not all answer the same number of questions. That might be a little confusing when you're watching them take the test live and one child stops after 8 and the other one doesn't stop until 14. That's okay. It's just has to do with the number of branched questions they got. All questions are automatically scored. So when students complete the assessment, you can view reports for your whole class and individual students in the reports section. There it is. There it is again. After analysis of the assessment reports, the teacher guide serves as your hub for preparing instruction based on these data. For grades 1 through 5, an observational assessment provides a parallel set of items to those on the digital or print pre-module assessment. The observational items are hands-on, interactive, discussion-based tasks. I'm not going into this much more because I doubt many of us will choose to do that, but if you do, you have to do all the scoring yourself and you need to put little checks and things on this checklist bit. Okay, that's how to get there. So we have a quick little question answer thing for if you have any questions about what I've said already before we get into the really deep part. And just a reminder that there is the Q&A session today at 3:05 with Gurmeet. George, do we have any questions?
Actually, no, nothing's come in, so you're good to go.
Okay. And I can't see the clock on my computer. So little warnings
We're at 1:23 right now.
Thank you. So what are we going to do with these results? You can find the individual assessments at the bottom of the report and you can click on the one you want to get the more information. This is the assessment report that comes at the bottom. And when you click on it, it will open for more information. Or you might have to click on that this little arrow here on the end. I couldn't get this to work for Carrie's class, so I've had to rely on a video. When I get more information from Great Minds, I will post updated information on the Math at LSL website. But we'll do as the best we can right here. So when you click on that report that you want, it will take you into the reporting for that particular assessment. And when you scroll down, you will see information specific to each student. Each of these questions refers to a core question on the assessment. Question 1, question 2, question 3. The results of the branched questions, if they were given, are included in this score. The arrow all the way to the right lets you move on to the next questions. The content tabs at the top of each column refer to a section called Supporting Instructional Content, found in the Equip Teacher Guide, which will open in another window for you when you click on it. Not when you click on this, when you open up the Equip Teacher Guide, or you can download it, where you will find the corresponding and aligned information for this module as it relates to those content areas. which are the essential foundation knowledge pieces of information. Each question is a different piece of foundational knowledge needed for that module. So this is identifying the gaps. When you scroll down further, this is where you can see recommendations for your overall class, and it has put the students in groups. So you can say, okay, I can meet with these students all together someday and work on content A, but dear Casey, we might have to find a way to meet with him by himself. This is who is lacking in each one of those content areas or having trouble with that particular EFK. You can also click onto individual students from here, and it will give you this information. This is Lucius. This is just the general overall, how many assessments he's taken, how many has left. And if you scroll down further, you can look at his performance on all the assessments he's taken and revisit any that you want to. And you can take a deeper dive into the actual equip assessment by clicking on the part over here that says See Assessment, and it will pop up like this. And here you can see his actual assessment with his answers. If you look at the top here, he only had one follow-up, one branched question, which he had a little bit of trouble with, but he didn't have much trouble with the rest of him, with the rest of them. And you can look at one for each of your students. And you can scroll down through the test and see what they answered and how they answered and get a much better view of what their problem might be. Okay. Now, what do you do with all of that info? We're going to take a look at the resources and information found in the teacher's guide. But I wasn't planning a break here, but are there any questions on the other part that I just raced through?
There was a question that came in from this Mrs. De Leon at VRB. And I think the question is asking, where do the students look for the assignment? So once something's been assigned from the teacher, how and where do the students access it?
So these behave exactly the same as the affirm assessments, which can only be taken in the InSync platform. So they will go out to the students' dashboard, InSync dashboard, as an assignment that they have to do. I don't have a class, so I can't show you that view, but it is in the PD that we did in August. And if it's not there, I will make another one.
Is that dashboard accessible through the students' portal?
I believe it is. I believe that when they click on their InSync title, it takes them to their InSync dashboard.
Gotcha. Thank you. I think that was the only question for now, so we can keep going.
Now, what are we going to do with all this information? This is where our Eureka Math Equip teacher guide comes into play. The picture you see here is taken a screenshot from if you open it in on your computer in a window. You can look at it right there. And let me try going back to my notes instead of winging it. Here are all the bits you're going to need to be able to analyze the Equip pre-module assessment. Oh, and that little bit up in the corner, that shows you where from InSync. Remember, we did that at the beginning. When you go from your grade level down to the module, before you get to the topics, it says Equip Module 1. When you open that, the very top thing is your Equip Module 1 teacher guide. You click on that, and sometimes it just opens in another tab. One time it asked me if I wanted to download it. I'm not quite sure how to make it do one or the other, but that's where you get it. The goal of the pre-module assessment is to clearly identify which students need to engage in supporting content before or during grade level instruction for each module. When students use the digital version of the pre-module assessment, the platform automatically generates class level and student level reports. Those are the ones I just showed you. So let's take a look at the resources and information found right here. For each module, you will find 3 tables that provide guidance as you incorporate supporting lessons or activities to build essential foundational knowledge. The first table you see here shows the essential foundational knowledge, the EFK, right there in the first column. Let's get the little thingy here, right there. It shows you which assessment item it comes from. It shows you which item it is, observation A. And then over here we have the supporting content that you would need to get for them if they're having trouble, and then when they're going to need this. So multiplying units of 1 or 10s by a single digit is going to be needed grade 4, module 1, lesson 1. So you're going to want to do this before that or during the lesson so that this lesson will flow more smoothly. So the fourth column, supporting content, is a list of supporting content based on Eureka Math curriculum, provides adaptive lessons, components, and fluency activities designed specifically to address the unfinished learning for each essential foundational knowledge assessed. These supporting lessons and activities are accessible using the links on there they are, left-hand column. I made it nice and big, supporting content A. This is A, supporting content A. Those documents will ask you to download them. That makes them a lot easier to view. They include a brief introduction to the content, are followed by lesson plans, vignettes, and any other necessary adaptive materials. And this one for supporting content A looks like this. It looks like a lesson. It's not exactly a lesson that's just been lifted and taken. It's been adapted from grade 3, module 3, lesson 19, because this is learning that was lost or something that they're missing from 3rd grade that they're going to need in 4th grade. Supporting lessons generally refer to modified or consolidated lessons from a prior grade or a new lesson created explicitly for use in bridging gaps in foundational knowledge. This one is adapted from 3rd grade for use in a 4th grade class. They are full-length lessons structured just like the other Eureka Math lessons. I don't think that they have videos for these. So that makes it a little more difficult to teach. This is a picture of the same chart from the printed version of the teacher guide, and it has this extra column in there, the 5th one, how should the supporting content be integrated? And I don't know why that was left off in the digital version, so I'm going to be asking them that question because I think that column is very important. So sometimes the content asks for a fluency piece, sometimes the supporting content is going to be a whole lesson, sometimes it's just going to be a component of it. And it tells you exactly what you need, and all you have to do is go over to that left-hand side and click on it. The components are small chunks of instruction, typically only 5 to 15 minutes, taken or adapted from a lesson in a prior module or grade level. These instructional chunks often include a mix of discussion, guided instruction, and independent practice for students. The teacher guide, the equipped teacher guide for each module, provides recommendations for customizing the existing lessons in the module to make room for each supporting lesson or component. And that guide looks like this. So if you have to add one supporting lesson The recommendation is that you remove the day of review that is normally reserved for the day before the mid-module assessment. If you're going to add a second one, they have another recommendation, and so on, depending on how many supporting lessons you have to create. The third table informs instructional decisions when fluency activities may be adjusted or substituted to support students' work with the essential foundational knowledge of the module. How are we doing so far, people?
We have a couple of questions if you want to address one of these,
Sure.
a quick one for you. This comes, thank you, Ms. Delgadillo at Chavez. It says, can you please review all the components, resources that are in Spanish? You mentioned them earlier, that some were available and some were not.
So the one that I know is in Spanish is anything that's the, let me start over again. The print version of the EQUIP pre-module assessment is available in Spanish. So that would have to be pushed out through Seesaw so they can write on it, and then you'd have to correct it and use the checklist to grade it yourself. The digital version is not. I do not know if the things I've just been showing you, this thing, is available in Spanish, so I am going to write that question down and find out, and give them a hard time if it is not. Okay, our supporting lessons are supporting lessons in Spanish. I do not believe that the EQUIP teacher guide is in Spanish, but it doesn't really have things in it that you're going to be saying to students. It's solely information for you. And I can't think of any of the other components off the top of my head. So if there's something specific, let me see, that you want. Oh, and you can also ask your meet. But I doubt this is in Spanish because it's, again, information for you. It's the supporting content that I want to check. And this is the digital assessment, so it's only in English. But this would be, oh, that's the observational assessment. But you would, this checklist down here is for the print version of the pre-module assessment, which is what I think I meant to put up here. So I'm going to have to fix that slide. Okay, any other questions?
Yes, a couple more. Excuse me. The first part of this question from Ms. Cameron is if the test results link to any like outside gradebook. She specifically mentioned Google Classroom, but can we link those results to something else externally?
You want to link the results. Who would you be sending the results to?
I think this is specifically about like a grade book.
Ah, okay. So the pre-module assessments are not for grading. It's to inform your instruction. That's a really good question. They do not take the place of the mid-module assessment or the end of module assessment. And no, I don't think those link to a grade book. But these pre-module assessments are so you know what information your students are lacking, so you can provide that support in your upcoming modules, so you don't have to go back and repeat entire chunks of previous grade material.
Thank you for the clarification. There's another part from Ms. Cameron about whether or not students should be taking these assessments live synchronously in a Google Meet or asynchronously.
That would be up to you and how you have your students take assessments. They would be given, however you're giving the firm assessments, if you're giving them. If you give them asynchronously, then there needs to be a talk with the students and maybe the parents that the student needs to take them by themselves, that nobody is helping, because you can't fill in the gaps and provide support if you don't know that the student is having trouble. So it might, but even if you're giving it synchronously, somebody could be in the background helping them. So that's still a conversation you need to have. Just like the other affirm assessments, when you assign it to your students, you can assign it to everybody and just have the window open for a long period of time. Or you can say, okay, I have this bunch of students that tends to come in the morning and assign it just to them for the morning, and another bunch that takes it just in the afternoon. That's all up to how you're working with your class.
That makes sense. There's one last part. Kim, do you know if there's any support, any reading support for the test? So if students just need support in terms of like their literacy and reading?
That's another good question for great minds.
Ready for the
Offhand,
next? Sorry, Kim. There's one more when you're ready.
okay. Speech text to speech. I'll just write that down as a reminder. And I don't know. The only thing I could think of would be, and I don't know how you would do this, how you could include recordings of the questions pushed out through Seesaw with the numbers of the question attached to them. That's the only thing that comes to the top of my head, which sounds like a lot of work and would probably be very confusing for younger children. So I don't know. If any techie people out there have an idea.
This one should be pretty easy. There's a particular teacher who, when they go to the portal, the Eureka Math, they get an invalid email or password. Who should they contact for those kinds of issues?
On the Math at AUSD website, on the second page, there is a place of frequently asked questions, and I think that one is in there. And if it isn't, below that, there is a Google form where you write it down, and then it sends me a notification that there's a question. If you just email me, I will lose it. But anything that goes in that form gets flagged as with a label on it when it comes into my email, so I know that there's an important question and I can go right there and answer it. And then I would probably send the question to Michael.
Thank you. We are all cut up with questions.
Okay, what's my time? I need a clock in here.
It's 1:43, Kim.
Oh, cool, we're right at the end. All right, so let me get through these. The Equip User Guide. You're going to download this. You're going to put it in a safe place because it has so much information in it. And we're just going to go over the main parts. You have a What's Included section, and it lists all the stuff that's in there, including, if you'll notice down here, a list of all the EFKs, all of those essential pieces that the students need. Then you have the section on implementation, which starts with this chart that I showed you. And after that, that tells you how you go walk through these steps, how to implement it, which is kind of what I did today, but it has more detail. Then, remember preparing how to teach a module? Well, now we have preparing to teach with Eureka Math Equip. And it tells you very similar to what we did before, but the work that you have to go through, or you should go through, to make this flow seamlessly into your lessons and support the students without a lot of starts and stops. The idea is that you keep your instruction moving forward, that you're not spending a whole day reviewing a whole thing, unless it's one of those whole lessons, but that you keep moving things forward and knowing where their problems are. You know that when you're in a regular lesson, oh yes, I've got some kids who had trouble with this, then you can provide more support in the lesson. Then in the appendix, you have fluency protocols, which are things you already know and are in the regular Eureka Math guides. So there you have that. Where can you get help? Well, down here we have a video that Gurmeet recorded for us on using it, and she's going through the whole, well, that didn't work. Yes, I'm not going to try to turn it on again, where she's going through the steps and where to find all the parts in one nice, flowy, slow movement. So it'll be easier to follow. The other place you can get help. Oh, now see, now it turned on. We have a whole bunch of links. You can go get help from Great Minds. It takes you to a place where you can just click on the equip or any of the other sections, and there will be a place where you can scroll down and open things and find your question and get little videos or get descriptions of how to do something. I will also put the slides for this presentation. It will go up in, when this goes up to the Livestream PD place. There is a link to the user guide there. There is a link to Gurmeet's video. The August PD that we did, in case it's like, if I keep saying that's just like a firm and you're going, I'm having trouble with a firm. There you go. And the slides from that PD. There's also a link to the Math at Alisal website and a link specifically to the frequently asked questions section where you might find an answer to something that's been bothering you. And then if that didn't work, we have the InSync Affirm Equip Problem Resolution form that you can go to. And some shameless advertising here. Carrie and I will be doing 2 sessions of InSync Basics and 2 sessions of Affirm Basics at the tech conference, so that in case you're having trouble, especially trouble pushing out the Affirm assessments or the InSync assignments, we're going to go over all that. And if you bring your computer and we have time, we'll let you get on it and you can try, and we'll be right there so we can help troubleshoot as long as we have time. So we have, and Gurmeet is also doing an equip session at the ATC. It's the last session of the day. So she won't be racing through it as fast as I do. There you go. And I'll take a few more questions if needed, but there is also that question and answer session with Gurmeet at 3:05 today. Any more questions?
Yeah, we don't have any new questions that have come in, Kim. So
okay,
hopefully that's a good sign.
So I got done on time today.
You did. You'll be getting us the slide deck, and we'll make sure we post it on the remote instruction live stream page on there.
I will fix that one slide that I found, and then I will send it right to you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, everybody. I hope this was helpful. So you now have a diagnostic for each module that scores itself and tells you what to do about it. See, let me get out of here. Back to here. Go back to here.
Thank you so much, Kim. So that concludes live stream today. Look, we even got you out of here 10 minutes early. So just as a reminder, the link to the schedule, highly suggest you bookmark it, bit.ly/ATC-2020, all lowercase. And as we say every week, be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and be good to our kids. Thank you so much. We can't wait to see you Monday morning. Thank you. Bye-bye.